Las distracciones y narrativas reinan este mundo tecnológico. Todos tienen una opinión de lo que es la verdad y lo que es mentira. ¿Quién controla el mundo? ¿Los aliens son real? ¿Vivimos en un Matrix? Estas preguntas serán debatidas con José y Daniel G, explorando y descubriendo las verdades de nuestro mundo, nuestras creencias y nuestro reality. Welcome to Cultura Truth Project. Dímelo, mi gente. Welcome back. Otro episodio, another one. Cultura Truth Project. Jose G, Daniel G. ¿Qué pasó, bro? What's going on?
Well, you know, it's June. It's our first episode in June. And you know what happens to Puerto Ricans in June?
What happens to Puerto Ricans in June?
There's nonstop partying, bro. From the New York Puerto Ricans to the ones in Chicago to the
Not
ones
to mention
in
this is
Florida.
my birth month.
It's your birth month. It's a Puerto Rican Day Parade on the 15th in New York City.
I love how you decide to go with it's Puerto Rican. It's pretty much Puerto Rican month, right?
It is Puerto Rican month.
But you know, there's another thing that's being celebrated. Which
No.
I really subscribe to.
I'm sorry. No. We're not
acknowledging that.
We're
Okay.
not acknowledging the
I don't want
devil.
to seem like we're like phobic of any kind.
Oh no, we're not
I'm
phobic.
just deciding not to acknowledge that, but I will acknowledge the Puerto Rican Day Parade. But love you guys, appreciate you guys. Thank you for joining us.
We can get into this real quickly before we get into the things. I am not acknowledging the devil's idea of bringing down a society. I'm sorry. Don't.
There's
ain't gonna happen.
There's an interesting breakdown on the word pride and the whole. I think Jordan Peterson actually goes into that,
It's
and he
the
does
cardinal
a video.
sin.
Well, you know, we'll reserve that for the audience listeners and who wants to actually get the truth. But guys, we want to welcome you to the show. Thank you for hanging out today. It's going to be just Danny and me today. We're going to be freestyling because we're going to recap what we've talked about with the last 4 guests on the show. It's been a very interesting month, a long month, bro. We had 5 episodes last month, which is crazy to me, bro. We had some interesting conversations with Matthew from Team Psychosmos. We spoke to Jen Allison, the human design coach. We spoke to John Moyer, Eugene, the comedian, you know, and we talked to our good friend Thomas, Paranoid American, and we had him on the show again.
I know
So
we're gonna get canceled for that one.
Yeah, we're gonna talk and all that stuff. But guys, as always, make sure you follow us on all of the social media at Cultura Truth Project on YouTube and on Rumble. Make sure you follow Gonzalez Media TV on Facebook and on Instagram. Subscribe to the podcast on all major platforms and leave us a 5-star review and support the show by joining the Supporters Club on Spreaker. $3 a month. The link is in the description. Audio only. You can't get anywhere. You can't get it on YouTube. You can't get it on Rumble. And you're going to want to listen to this week's supporters only audio because we just did a live reaction to Eminem's video, Houdini. And we're going to decode that video today in the show because that video was wild.
There's
so
a lot.
much symbolism in the video.
There's
and
a lot.
not to mention all the lyrics, which was crazy, just as wild and crazy too.
It's like hip hop. It's like hip hop is back. Hip hop
For
is
real, dude.
I mean,
For
we
real,
had a beef. Think about it. We had a beef a couple weeks ago. Now,
pro wrestling beef.
I made up pro wrestling beef, and now Eminem is just back to like annihilate the entire industry. So, yeah, hip hop is back.
Hip hop is back. So guys, make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel if you haven't yet. Make sure you smash that notification bell so you never miss one whenever we drop a brand new episode. We have all the episodes here, and we're going to talk about some of our last few guests. Let's talk about Eugene, bro, because Eugene was a fun guy that we had on the show. We talked about his collab with Kellen, and your connection with him in comedy, bro. So like, how did that happen? How did that relationship kind of happen and, blossom?
So fun. So you remember um about 4 years ago. 4 years ago now. Wow, 4 years ago now. When I came to Texas for the first time, to Florida for the first time in like a long time. It was like my big return to Florida, like since I left. Remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
And I was already doing comedy, and I booked a couple of shows to kind of, just get my feet wet. I'm over here in Austin doing my thing. I'm in Dallas doing my thing. And I'm like, let me go back home, see if I get my feet wet, see what happens. And I go to do this small showcase. It was at a bar. Actually, it was at a meat market / bar. It was one of those weird places like that Orlando has. And I meet Eugene, and he's like the local vet, right? He's the local veteran in the area. He's been doing it 10 plus years. He's been, touring for a while. He's in town. He needed to work out. He was at a show, and I'm the guest. And he was like, I do my set, and he was like, yo, your shit's funny. And I'm like, hey, I appreciate you. Then he goes up, he kills it. And I'm like, all right. Couple of dudes exchange information. We have similar interests. He does jujitsu. I do jujitsu. He's been out to Texas a couple of times, and every time I'm in town, he always tries to hook me up with stage time. So it's one of those things where it's like mutual respect, mutual hustle. Dude, this dude he's blowing up, man. I wouldn't be surprised when his special, he decides to record his special. He's gonna do big things, and I'm praying for him, and I always send him my good thoughts, honestly, because he's one of the good ones in the industry. He's legit. So I appreciate the crap out of him. I love his take on things. I love his views on life. I think that's what makes him so funny, is that he's a smart man. He's a smart individual, and he's just one of those guys that he's down to earth, but he has an opinion about everything. And I think to be a great comedian, you need to literally have an opinion about everything.
Yeah.
And he does, and he's just well read. Like, you could tell he's well read, and you could tell that he stays tapped in, and
which is something that, I'm not a comedian, but as someone who has spent time in the media, in the public eye, and, hosting shows and live current events, it is important to stay plugged in, right? In order to stay engaging with your audience and to, develop new content or new jokes in your, comedian's case. But the guy's just genuine and authentic, right? And that's what I think of what I really like about Eugene. His comedy really resonates, especially if you're in the Latino community, or if you're Puerto Rican, especially, it'll definitely resonate with you. And his point of view on a lot of things is really, it gives it another perspective, because like, there was a clip that we had dropped on socials, and it was about a world religion class that he had taken, that it kind of, in his opinion, he said that it kind of turned into a philosophy class, that his professor was asking, well, guys, if you knew the exact date of when the world was going to end, what would you do? And then, like, everybody was in the class was saying, oh, I'm going to spend time with my family. I'm going to do all the nice things, right? And Eugene said something that was very interesting. He was like,
he went completely apocalyptic. Let's be real.
You are all fucking liars. Like, it's like, let's be real. It's like, as soon as I know that there's the end expiration date to all of this, I'm going to do anything and everything I can. And I'm not going to say the same exact words that he said, because it's pretty graphic. Go watch the episode on our YouTube channel, or listen to it on audio.
The best version.
But it's the truth. What he said is 100% truth. Humanity will lose all sense of what's good and bad, all to just be in survival mode. And in that type of scenario, he was 100% right.
There's examples of that throughout history. There's examples of that in recent history. Think about Hurricane Katrina. Look what happened to that city after a catastrophe. It's just, it's a lot, man. I love his take, because he went where most people would go. It's apocalyptic. It was like, okay, so you mean there's no rules, which means I have to fend for myself, which means I have to do what I have to do to survive.
Mm-hmm.
At least to make it to the end, right?
Mm-hmm. But
It's
I mean,
interesting.
but and the scenario is that like if you knew it was gonna all end, like would you act differently as opposed to if an apocalyptic event happens out of the blue?
Either way,
Either way, I think
he's not wrong.
having that knowledge beforehand, I think it still kind of changes the mind, right?
Oh yeah, no, for sure. I think at the end of the day, people will be people. I think one of my favorite, which is funny because I'm gonna tie it into last week's guest, what
Jen?
Jen, and her like the idea that all the the companies that run DNA testing are all owned by Mormons, which
No.
made me think of that episode of um American Horror Story, where like that's how they find the two people that are gonna make the Antichrist, and it's like,
That's so funny because in do you watch the show Evil on Paramount Plus?
no, I
So
don't.
it's basically a group of three people. One's a priest, one's a psychologist, and one's a guy that debunks everything, right?
Of course,
And they're working with the Catholic Church to debunk or certify if certain demonic possessions or miracles are real, right? So in season one, you kind of see what's going on. You see the development of characters. You kind of see what the plan is with the church and all that stuff, and how Satan is infiltrating the church and all that stuff, right? Turns out that in the story, as the story develops, because there's a bunch of different stories, but there's like one main story that has to do with the psychologist who was getting in vitro fertilization at a fertility clinic, right? And fucking Lucifer was in the fertility. He's the guy that's financing, the entity that's financing and building this fertility clinic, and he's literally changing the DNA of all those eggs and all those sperms so they can be, little spawns of the devil, bro. So it's
what's funny?
wild.
That's not a new storyline in Hollywood.
No, it's not, but there
It's
has to
not.
be some truth to it, right?
Right? Like you remember the show Supernatural?
Yeah.
Right? Like all of season one, when they do like a look back, right? Like there's a devil or a demon that would go to the chosen people and change their DNA by feeding them literal blood, demon blood, as babies, as infants. So it's not a new concept in Hollywood. But
No.
like it's just creepy that like they're telling us what's happening. They're telling us
They have to.
Apparently
They have to.
They
have to, because if not, they get karmic a karmic kick ass or some ass kicker. I don't know.
I mean, I sent you that reel.
expert.
I sent you that reel today. We don't have to share it because it has to do with the topic of the month.
Oh no, that's that reel was crazy, bro. That shit was like, what? And I mean, it kind of has to do a little bit with what Danny was saying earlier, but maybe I'll bring it up later in the show. But let's
But like the correlation that I'm trying to say is like they tell us what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and let's say in Eugene's scenario, they did tell us it's like, hey, thing is gonna happen on this day, and then it's like mass, like we know. Right. We don't know now because it's very cryptic the way that they tell us. But if they were just straight up with us, it was like, hey, June 6th of 2024, this thing is going to happen. Prepare yourselves. We don't know what's going to be June. We don't know if there's going to be a June 7th. Right.
Well, apparently tomorrow is 666 day because it's June.
According
6th,
to Donut, right?
According to Donut, right? But Ryan Garcia did say something about June 6th. In his interview with PBD, talking about an earthquake. So, I mean, I don't know if we should be looking out for an earthquake.
Well, it's already June 6th somewhere in the world. So by the time we're recording this podcast, it's already June 6th on the other side of the world. I haven't heard of any.
I haven't heard, not yet. We haven't heard of an earthquake yet.
Yeah, but if it's a big enough earthquake, we would have heard about it by now.
Forbid that anything happens. But I mean, I don't know. People just be throwing out prophecies or predictions. Like it's just, hey,
how many times was Jesus supposed to return by now?
Right. Like during
I
the
like
solar eclipse, everybody was waiting and looking up in the sky and like, where is he? And they, well,
hey Jose, what's that number 14? The apocalypse number 14 we've survived?
Welcome to level 14 of Jumanji.
This is ridiculous. No,
So
but
what did
like,
you think of Jen last week, man?
dude, it was a lot. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I'm still digesting a lot of what
Did you
said.
did you start noticing those things about yourself when she revealed them?
No, I mean, yes and no. So it's like this. You know that like what she told me wasn't news per se. You know, because it's the language in which she used is slightly different than some of the stuff that I already knew. When she said you're a projector, you discern, right? Like you discern what's being told to you before you say it out to the word. You're an exhortationist, like myself, right? Like I encourage people. That's another form of projecting wisdom towards people. Those are things that I'm not surprised somebody called out in me, right? The fact that the symbolism of them being on a mountain is like being on a stage is, like I said, it makes sense. I think it's the language that she was using that threw me off because I'm like, okay, this is creepy. Like I need to like sit there and discern it and figure out what this means. How can I put this in Christianese so I don't feel so
Did you just say
devilish about
Christianese?
myself? Yeah, Christianese.
Christian.
You gotta use Christianese. And you know, and like I said, I don't think there was anything inherently wrong with what she said. I just think I think as spiritual beings, we have to be very careful who we listen to. And I say this not because of I genuinely think she's a great person. I do. I think that she has the best of intentions. But I think when people decide to follow a spiritual path, they need to have their eyes open and their hearts guarded. And I say that
I completely understand what you're saying.
Right? Because you don't know what that person is speaking over you. And I like even I say this even from like my spiritual leaders and pastors and people that I've allowed into my heart. I've always been like, okay, yeah, God, you know, like, is this word for me? If this word is for me, I need confirmation, and I don't need just vague confirmation from the elder lady that goes to my church and falls out every Sunday. I'm talking about I need true, real world confirmation. Like one thing that I think is something that I've been holding on to very deeply in my spirit as not only a believer in Jesus and Christ follower is, you know, holding and waiting for his will to come. And there's a time and place for everything. And I think this podcast is a manifestation of time and place of everything that's supposed to happen. Like there's reasons that other things that and I say we, not just me, you and I, there's reasons that we've done other things before, similarly in the space of digital creation and digital media that just haven't panned out. Now we've kind of done, like I said before, we've kind of Wonder Twin powers activated, and there's this weird sense of synchronicity. There's this sense of, okay, we're finally kind of flowing with the current that we're supposed to, right? Like it's like there's a great book, and I have it on my phone so I can give you guys the author, and it talks about gears and the spiritual gears versus the human gears, right? And I'm finding that so I can give you that name. No, it's not that one. Okay, here it goes. It is called The Power of Positive Thinking by Norman Vincent Peale.
Send me the link. I'll make sure we'll put that in the description as well.
It's a very old book. It's literally like, don't even worry about it. Like the book costs $7 on Amazon. It's not that big of a deal.
Got it.
But in The Power of Positive Thinking, it's a Christian self-help book. Just so you know, it's a Christian self-help book. He talks about the gears of God versus the gears of man. The gears of man, we like to consume things way faster than what we are naturally meant to consume. Mm-hmm. And I'm not talking about food, even though food is another one. I'm talking about literal things of the spirit. Like we want to move at 1,000,000 miles an hour when the gear that is instinctually in ourselves, right, wants to move slower. And how slow that is always perfect. Like when you think about everything that's happened in your life from the moment you're a baby, how many times did your mom say you learned to walk either quickly or you took you a little bit, but you figured it out, right? Or some people's like for me, I was never good at school, but I learned to read, and now I'm a big reader. I listen to audiobooks, I read all the time, but it's like the appreciation for reading for me came later as an adult instead of like as a child. And I think it was the spirit was protecting my brain from certain things because he wanted me to consume just a certain topic that's going to help me build the wisdom that I needed. And I think when discerning, things that people speak over you, you can't have a quick gear. You can't just grind it away. I think you need to have that spiritual gear, that God gear that takes it slow and does it at the perfect time. And that's the thing that I really appreciated about Jen. And she was like, this is kind of in your wheelhouse, Danny. This is the thing that your birthday and all this and all that. And I really appreciated that. It was a confirmation of something I already knew. And it's not to sound like a narcissist or anything like that, but it's like I've been on a journey. You're so
full of yourself, Daniel.
Oh my God, I'm a narc.
No wonder you want to be on the mountain.
I don't care to be on the mountain. Really, I don't. The mountain comes to me. I haven't been on the mountain for a while, so the mountain keeps coming to me. I am the mountain. What are you talking about?
There you go.
It's an interesting thing.
If you don't believe it, nobody else ain't gonna believe it.
It doesn't freaking matter what people believe. I believe it. So
well, listen, John Moyer, friend of yours, he was a great guest, and
dude, very interesting.
His channel is huge, bro. His channel on YouTube. If you guys haven't checked it out, get into meditation. Meditation is the absolute best. I meditate twice a day, and John's channel is amazing. So check it out if you guys want to. I'll have the link in the description. We have it on his videos too. But man, the guy was so insightful, and I absolutely love that conversation.
Dude, it's not just insightful. I think what draws me to him is not just the fact that he was a comedian. I think he just has this thing that you're like, I don't want to hang out with him. Like, I just want to hang out. Like, let's hang out. Like, you don't drink beer, it's fine. I don't have to drink beer. Let's drink kombucha. It's fine. Bro.
Huh? He's like my white Caucasian doppelganger. Like if I was a white man, I'd probably be him.
You probably would be. You probably would do peyote.
Oh, for sure, bro. Oh yeah.
Not yet.
If I was a white dude named Chad or Chuck or Brad or Matt.
What is your white guy name? Jose, let's settle this. What is your white guy
name? It's probably between Trevor or Scott.
No, you're a Josh.
I'm a Josh?
No, you're a Josh. So I have this friend named Josh. Oh my God, he's so amazing. Listen, he is insightful. His third eye is open.
But no, man, we had a really good conversation on what we were talking about with John. I mean, when we're talking about hypnosis, we're talking about reprogramming the subconscious mind and really just getting better in touch with who you are as a person through meditation and hypnosis. What did you think about that? Have you ever tried hypnosis?
I haven't, but what I like is like the sleep meditations, and I guess that is a form of hypnosis. I've done the
for sure.
I've done the ones where like it plays the beta waves of some kind, or the theta, whatever waves they're called, right? They plays that music in the background while reading like it, and like to me is you can't just meditate on anything. You have to be conscious what you put into your psyche. And to me, I've always like I'll meditate like on a Bible verse, and like you can go on YouTube and find Christian meditations, and it'll be like Psalms 40 played like red really slowly and towards like beta hertz waves or whatever. And it's like a way of meditating, and it's like you're speaking truth into your life through religious texts. And I think that's really cool. And the fact that he does that, not necessarily in the Christian sense, but in the sense of like, hey, let's reprogram your mind into do something positive, and uses the science behind that, which is actually, which we're going to talk about here pretty soon, actually, is starting to become more and more true, right?
Mhm.
Like, yeah, what is it? What does Ed Milet call it? The reticular activating system or whatever it's called,
Yep.
right? Like those are the things that are true, right? Like, hey, you see the blue car, all of a sudden you see the same blue car everywhere you go. It's like it's
Yep.
in your preview, and if you start doing stuff like that, it's the same thing. But it works in your spirit, it works in real life, and it's like it's one of those things. It's like it's funny when people say, "Oh, when you have faith that moves mountains," it's like it's your focus. So
Mhm.
what are you focusing on? It's interesting. It's an interesting concept that I have learned to embrace in the last couple of years.
Yeah, and when you talk about medical data backing stuff like reprogramming the subconscious mind through meditation or hypnosis, we spoke about the Dr. Joe Dispenza, great doctor. Highly recommend you guys check him out on YouTube. And there's something that he says is about, in order for you to change your reality, you need to change your personality, right? And that starts in the subconscious mind, because our 80% of what we do on a daily basis is run by the subconscious mind. Waking up, drinking coffee, brushing your teeth, going to the bathroom, driving, working, doing everything kind of like on that program, because your brain is it's already on program, and so it's running on autopilot, right? Those are the little things that you need to start changing, and that also starts with your own beliefs. you know for example, like for money is a good example. Most people grow up in a household saying that money doesn't grow on trees. We're not a Rockefeller. We're not the JP Morgans. We're not rich. We're not wealthy. And that's the programming that you get at a very young age.
For the people that believe, it's funny because this concept isn't new,
It
right?
isn't.
Like it's look, it's 2,000 years at least recorded, 2,000 years old, right? And you know what the word calls it? What Paul, one of the apostles, he called it, right? He says, we demolish arguments and every pretensions that sets itself up against the knowledge of God, is we take captive every thought and make it obedient. You know what it
Mm,
is?
mm.
You know
Thoughts
what it
become
is?
things, bro.
Thoughts become things, right? So it's not just changing your personality, but literally changing the way you think.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I tell people, like, this is a conversation me and my girlfriend we've been having about our son. It's like we have to get him to changing the way he thinks. As young men, and you've been a young man, so you know what I'm talking about. When you get into that age of you're not getting what you want, so you don't know how to react. So it takes another person to teach you how to rethink your reward system, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's the same thing as adults. We're constantly renewing our minds and trying to take thoughts captive. And it's like, you can call it what you want, call it meditation, call it self-discovery, call it journaling. But like the end of the day, that concept isn't new. We're taking thoughts captive and repurposing them. It was like, hey,
Exactly.
this up here is the biggest thing. And that's why, like, I think this podcast is so amazing, because we're taking the thoughts that the world, and I say the world and culture that's on the internet, and we're saying, no. Let's take a moment. Let's retake this thought captive, digest it, and see if it's for us.
Mm-hmm.
Which is
Exactly.
why I love doing this podcast. This is my number one reason I love doing this podcast.
Exactly. And what's interesting about this, and I'm not a Bible expert like you, Danny. I
I'm
mean,
not a
when
Bible expert, man. I
you
write
know
things
way
down.
more than I do, bro. But I do know the story when Yahusha was in the city. I forget what city he's in, and there's a cripple waiting for the fountain, to get in so he can get cured, right? Or so he can be walk up again. So
Jose's
then
saying the Hebrew name for Jesus, Yeshua. He was the
Yeah.
For those who don't know, the Hebrew name for Jesus was Yeshua.
So there's two versions. So there's Yeshua, which is the Neo Hebrew or Paleo, and then the Paleo Hebrew is Yahusha, but they're both Jesus. So anyways, so Yahusha,
Jesus, not your cousin Jesus, but Jesus.
yeah. So Yahusha goes to the fountain. He sees the cripple, and he asks the cripple, is like, "Well, what are you doing?" He's like, "Oh, I'm waiting for the fountain to get in so I can get cured." He's like, "Well, why?" He's like, "Because I need to get in there. I nobody is letting me get in there." He's like, "Well, do you believe you could walk? Can you do this?" He's like, "Well, yes." He's like, "Well, then just pick up your mat and walk. Just think it, take no thought. If you think it, you feel it, you can just do it." And yes, I mean, I'm paraphrasing big time, right?
That's a great story. And there's a different version of that same story in the book of Luke, which I was actually reading yesterday. Dude, it's like we're in synchronicity. I'm telling you, you're going over the Bible study that I've been through like twice this week already. Okay. So the story goes is that Jesus is at the fountain surrounded by a crowd of people. And this cripple,
this is in Luke, right?
This is in Luke. This is in Luke, which interesting. The book of Luke, for those who don't understand, the book of Luke is the most chronologically correct account of Jesus' life. Because he doesn't really talk about the parables. He talks about what happens. He just tells you, this is what happened during my time with Jesus. That's all he does. But his account of this miracle is probably like the dopest, because it's like, he paints it like, yo, it's me and like, it's like, let's kick it back to like the old school Miami days, Jose. It's like me, you, Joe, and Roy are hanging out. I'm hurt. I got a broken leg, but you, Joe, and Roy are trying to get me healed by Jesus. And y'all can't get to Jesus, but y'all find out that like we can get to Jesus if you lower me in a chair over the top of the thing, right? And then somehow y'all fuck it up and like drop me in front of Jesus. Right? And that's literally what happens. Like this cripple and his friends find a way to get the cripple man in front of Jesus by going around over the top of the crowd and lowering him, but they mess up and drop the cripple. And Jesus turns around like a gangster and goes, "You believe that I can heal you so bad that you literally did all these acrobatics instead of just asking me?" And he goes, "Get up." It's like, and he like nonchalantly says, "Get up and walk. Get up and walk. Take your stuff. Get up and walk. Walk away from me. You're healed because of your belief." That's it. He's like, you believed so hard you tried to get here when you didn't even need to.
All you need is the faith of a mustard seed.
That account, like I'm reading that account and in this old English, and then I'm breaking it down in my head. I'm like, bro, that's like a couple of friends, a couple of bros be like, bro, we need to like fix him. There's nobody that can fix him. I say Jesus can. Let's take him to Jesus, bro.
So while we're on this topic, we had Matthew from Team Psychosmos on the show.
Very interesting, man.
That was a very interesting episode because there was some debate going on there. I could tell that, there were some topics that he was kind of like pulling the strings on that you felt a little that you had to respond in a certain way. And I get it. You have your belief. He has his belief. But what did you overall think of the conversation? It was a great conversation on both sides. But overall, man, like where he's coming from, what did you think of him?
I think like the never-ending problem with Christianity in today's world is a great example of mine and his conversation, right? Where we believe almost the same thing, but we disagree on the details. You follow me?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like I have no doubt that man believes in God. I have no doubt that he believes in Jesus. I think that he's taking Old Testament covenants that kind of expired, right? Like the having to wear cloth, 100% cloth.
But I think that's his prerogative, though.
No,
right?
no. I'm not. I'm just using it as an example. I'm not trying to bash him. I'm not trying to bash him at all. Like, this is all respect, and I'm not trying to bash him. And misunderstanding the idea of renewing the mind is the biggest takeaway of becoming a Jesus follower, right? Like I think it was like, oh, you become perfect over time, right? Like, and like the debate, and I think the biggest issue with the disagreement was when salvation is salvation, right? Like salvation in most Christian, most Judeo-Christian people believe, doesn't matter if you're Baptist, charismatic, apostolic, doesn't matter, is at the moment you accept him into your heart. That moment, spiritually, your name has been written in the book of life. Now, the moment on where you, I don't want to even say earn, but like the moment where the transformation of oneself, right? It's like this. When you marry a spouse, right? You get married at the altar and you're married in that moment. You're in love. It's fantastic. But a month later, man, those fights when nobody's looking, that breaking of culture from yours and hers and becoming one. So you're telling me that the marriage that happened in public, that acceptance of each other, isn't a declaration that you're married? Like like literally when you accept Christ into your heart, right, is you're marrying into the body of Christ. But like there's that toiling and that hard work that happens after you say I do. That's when you become one, right? That picture of, that's why like the Bible uses a lot of the picture of accepting Christ as becoming married, because you become married in public, and into the eyes of the public, you're married and you're this holy man because you're no longer sleeping around with other women and you're one person. But in reality, behind closed doors, you're working on those things that nobody else sees, those insecurities that you're working out with your spouse. You follow?
Mm-hmm.
You follow what I'm saying? Like those arguments that you and her have over money, those arguments that you would have over insecurities, that she looks at some girl on your Instagram story that wasn't even relevant to you, but to her it's relevant, and you have to work these things out. And all of a sudden it's like over time y'all become this cohesive unit.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing happens to a basic follower. Over time you become better, but that doesn't change the fact that your spirit was saved the moment you said I do.
Yeah, I mean, and again, this kind of goes back to like what you were just saying, is disagreeing on the details, right? And how many denominations are there in Christianity? Thousands, right? And there's and each one argue amongst each others on who's correct and who's not, right? And for me, while I've been on this journey, bro, it's just been really trying to find out like who's telling the truth, right? And they're all saying the truth in their own way, because that's what they believe that the truth is, right? But what is really the truth here? Because then are the people that practice more Hebrew Christianity, where they do acknowledge Yahusha,
the Masonic Jews,
like the
Masonic
sons
Jews.
of Yasharel. Like when I start diving into that kind of way of thinking, like for me, it resonates more with me, right? Because it's I don't know why it resonates with me. Like it agrees with my sacral. Shout out to Jen for my human design. But it agrees with my sacral. But there's something that I identify when I hear the Hebrew name Yahusha, when I hear the Hebrew name of our God Yahuwah, right? Yahweh. When I hear that I am Yahuwah, your Elohim, right? That makes sense to me. That makes sense to me because.
But do you understand why though?
I just know it makes sense to me. I just know that it feels good in my body. It feels good in my mind. I've grown a closer relationship ever since being able to acknowledge God as Yahuwah, our Father, you know, and that's just my personal journey. I'm not advocating for, you know, for you guys to any of the
No,
listeners, but I'm just saying this is my personal journey. And when I start looking at like the Ethiopian Bible, and I start looking at what the, like the Hebrew Christians that accept Yahusha as the Savior and Messiah, right? Like for me, that makes sense because they're still kind of maintaining a little bit of the Old Testament stuff like Yahusha was, because Yahusha did practice the Old Testament. Remember, he is Jewish
no, he
and
is.
he's
But
Jewish and he practiced the old ways just like he would like the current guys do. But you know, he's our guy. We acknowledge you. He's our tribal chief. And that's me, you know. So that's my journey where it is, because I can't say that the doctrine of the Presbyterian Church and the Baptist Church is right. That's what they've developed, right? But then when
like,
you look at to some other stuff, there's some questionable stuff in there that I'm like,
I know. No, I'm not denying any of it, Jose. I'm not denying that the inconsistencies among things. But and I'm gonna give you, I think, and hopefully you hear me out and see my heart on this. The reason it resonates, right? It's the same reason it resonates with me. And this is what I believe, right? It's you're looking at the Christianity or the way or the following, right? For what it is. When you start understanding that Jesus is not a blue-eyed, blonde-haired picture. I've never believed that Jesus was blue-eyed and blonde-haired. I'm sorry for those people who have that painting in their house, and I'm not trying to diminish your belief. That's not what I'm doing. But like to me, I always used to say, I remember in high school, people would be like, yo, you believe in a blue-eyed, blonde-haired? And I'm like, no, I don't know what you're talking about. My Jesus is Puerto Rican. Like it doesn't make any sense to me. Like my Jesus looks like my brother with long hair. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like I don't mean to sound that way, but like I look at people from the Middle East and the culture that's been around in that part of the world for over a millennia. It doesn't make any sense to me. So like while I go to a more modern style church, but I'm so grateful, and I say this, grateful to have a spiritual leader who understands not only the culture of Jesus at the time, but understands the culture of the Middle East of now, and how it, even though it's been modernized because of technology, customs are still there.
Mm-hmm.
And calling him Yahweh, calling him Yeshua, calling him, I don't think there's anything wrong with calling him Jesus, because come on, let's be honest. Even when he translates certain names like James and Santiago, like where did they get Santiago from? You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah. There's certain things that make sense to me. Like to me, the idea of, you know, celebrating Easter during Passover is the right thing to do. And it makes weird, like, it's weird for me how
they keep changing the dates.
How they keep changing the dates.
He died on Passover. He died on Passover.
He died on the night of Passover, correct?
Yes. Yeah.
He died on the night of Passover. But to me, it's like the cool thing about following and learning about Jesus's life is not so much the customs that he kept, but how he said, I am here to fulfill the law and its completeness. And he was like, hey, I am making a new covenant. Like, this is the new contract. Like, understand, like, you don't have to work. Like, these are cool things for you to do so you don't die, right? Like, don't eat pork, you know, wash your hands, take a day of rest. But the fact of the matter is that this old contract is null and void. This new contract, this is the one. This is the one that is going to save your soul. This is the one that's going to save your spirit. This is the one that when you stand in front of my Father, then I'm going to be, he was one of mine. And that's the beauty of like of Yeshua, of Jesus, of like when he's saying that, it was like, this is the new covenant. It's done. It's complete. Like when I come back, I'm coming to hang out with y'all, eat some food, and like just tell the devil, like, dude, you've already been defeated. Like, what are you doing? Like I'm coming back to celebrate. I'm not coming back.
I just tell you something though. This journey for me personally has been amazing because I'm learning more and more every day. I learn from you every week that we get to speak and we get to jump into some of these topics. And even just like doing my own research and just learning about the origin of everything. And all this stuff is very subjective when when you're coming across this information, so it's really important for me to discern that information. So I try to get it from reliable sources, people that have good following, good reputation, and things like that. But it's been amazing, and being able to sometimes share a lot of this information with people that don't know, right? Like people that don't know, Yeshua or Yahusha's real name. People are like, what? Like, what do you mean? Or it's like, or when I say, oh, praise Yah, they're like, Yah, like, who's Yah? Is that your God? I'm like, no, it's the same God.
You know what's funny? I've been saying "yeah" forever, and it's funny, right? Because we grew up. You're still in Florida, but we grew up in Florida. How many times have you heard a legit Jamaican be like "God bless"?
Yeah. Well, that's a Rastafari thing, but that belief is a little bit more wild too, though.
No, that's wild. But the fact that they say "Jah,"
yeah,
right? Like they're acknowledging his real name.
Mm-hmm.
And
Exactly.
and the Rastafarian, while they have a crazy belief system, they believe in the original Ethiopian Bible.
They do, and the original Ethiopian Bible has the Book of Enoch in there, and I believe it also has the Apocrypha in there.
Dude, it's crazy, right? Like there's a great kind it's a pastor, but he was recently on Logan Paul's podcast Impulsive. And
Okay.
that pastor he likes to debate college students, kind of like he's like a Christian Ben Shapiro, right? Like call him like Christian Ben Shapiro.
Got
So
it.
he goes to this to these guys and he goes, I'm not here to knock anybody's beliefs, but I'm here to answer the truth about Christianity. And like some guy, being super Marxist liberal, well, Christianity is a European centric, blah, blah, blah religion. And then an African guy who wasn't a thing, and I don't know if there's going to be copyright. I'm sure I could find it on YouTube. Goes, well, the Bible was and Christianity was in Africa before it was in Europe by 1,000 years.
Boom, and that is 100% true, my friend.
And then the guy, and then the pastor goes, "You took the words right out of my mouth."
Yes,
and it was
sir.
Africa, like a dark, chocolate, beautifully melanated man.
The children of Yasharel, bro. They the Exodus, bro. They went over there to West Africa. Yes,
bro. It's one of those things where you're like,
those are the true kids. Those are the true from one of the tribes.
Ethiopia, East Africa, Jose. East Africa.
Sorry, my bad. No, but in Africa in general, though,
dude,
not just Ethiopia.
Some of the most radical believing Christians that I know are Africans.
Yeah, I believe it, bro.
And I don't mean like radical as in like they're gonna blow up people. I'm talking about like guys who literally walk by faith, not by sight. Are like people from the Congo, people from Nigeria, people that should be prosecuted because they're from Somalia, but like they say that in Africa, the name that's most commonly said and spoken is the name of Jesus Christ.
Wow.
Isn't that crazy?
Amazing. That's amazing, bro.
Yeah, over here we blaspheme his name left and right.
Yeah.
Which is I mean, I'm guilty of it. I'm not one to cast his first stone, but like it says a lot.
I mean, and to your point, I think I'm going to show that video that you sent me because it kind of ties in perfectly to kind of like what we're talking about, because people don't really understand like how when you're speaking, words are power, you're spelling, it's casting spells, and the devil does a good job about like how to twist words, right?
I think this is a skit, but it's pretty freaking accurate.
But it is pretty accurate. But the point that I'm making is it's funny how a word has a meaning 20 years ago, and then now it has a completely different meaning, right?
They're hijacking.
they hijack it. Yeah. So let me bring this up real quick so we can take a look at it. Let me take the volume off and let's go here.
This is one of the creepiest videos on the internet, in my opinion.
For the world to not only accept sin, but to celebrate it. Do you know what has been my most enjoyable Pride campaign?
Pause it real quick.
No, what?
I love that he's wearing a gold rope chain. Just saying.
But for my gay Pride campaign, of course. Not only do I get the chance to promote your own self-destruction, I get to use God's logo, the rainbow, to do it.
Whoa. Crazy.
Now, do you know why he said that? Do you know the story behind why he said that line specifically?
Why?
What was the symbol? And I'm testing your knowledge here because you should know this. This is basic Christianese, right? What was the sign after the flood that God said, I will never do this again?
A rainbow?
Literally, God put up his rainbow, his weapon. He put his rainbow up in the sky so he will never use it again against humanity.
Love is love, right? My plan not only prevents you worthless humans from reproducing, it distorts the gender roles and allow me to bring all types of chaos and confusion upon your pathetic societies. It's been so successful, I've got men convinced they're women, and women convinced they're men, and some convinced they're no gender at all. And I've got 2 more Pride Initiative campaigns I'd like to introduce in the near future. And second is pedophilia pride. Now, society might not be ready for this one just yet, so we'll hold off.
Dude,
that's creepy.
They were talking about something like that a few years back, and it got shut down real quick.
No,
but
because he said
so
it. The world's not ready.
Video,
he said
though.
The world's not ready. He said it. The world's not ready. The world's not ready. You know why? Because the world's not ready. Yet they're prepping us. Certified lover boy, certified pedophile. You know what I'm saying?
Well, they're definitely getting ready for something because Eminem's back on the scene, bro. And his new video was wild.
All right,
shout out to the supporters club. Shout out to the supporters club. We did a break. We did a live reaction to the video. So if you guys want to check it out, make sure you check out the supporters only. The link is in the description. All right. But I want to break it down, bro, because there was a lot going on in this video. So I want to bring the thing on board here.
You got some stills?
Yeah, we got some stills here. So first of all, what did you think of the video? What did you think of the song?
That's the White House. I'm sorry. I called it in the supporters.
Is it the White House?
It looks like
1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. It just looks like a mansion.
It looks like the White House, though.
All right. Well, the video opens up with Slim Shady receiving a phone, or Eminem receiving a phone call from Dre, and
product placement.
There's
Vaseline
a bottle of
Vaseline.
liquid death.
And
Did you say gasoline?
Vaseline.
Oh, Vaseline. So he's banging some chick there. And there's a bottle of Erect Quick on there. So, some
Viagra.
dick pills. But what's interesting, that there's a report of Slim Shady walking through a portal, dude, from 2002. Look how wild that is, dude. That's some pretty good CGI.
Oh, man.
So old Slim Shady walks through a portal to 2024. He's like, what the fuck is going on? Just looking around, right? And now he's in present day. And the song is fun. It's old school Slim Shady. It's Guess Who's Back Part 2, pretty much. And dude, who is that? Is that Joe Biden dressed as the Pope, bro?
It makes sense. It makes sense.
It makes sense. Why does that make sense, dude?
Okay. Do we just have to remind every weird picture of him touching kids?
Oh, and sniffing people's hair.
Oh God, this was disturbing. This was disturbing. This was something that honestly creep me out because I think, what did I say? That I think it was like, is he announcing the birth of the Antichrist?
So I don't know, dude, but that's him. That's him as soon as like he's born, and it's a baby demon, bro, or demon baby. Look at that. It's got the little tongue. So maybe he's saying that he's the Antichrist.
Is he saying it's him in the song? Is that the lyric? Little
It says
baby
little
devil.
baby devil with a forked tongue. And it's sticking out, yeah, like a sore thumb. With a forehead that it grew his horns from. So
Go back.
Maybe. I don't know. So we
Hold on,
fast forward. We have this little shot here. Old Slim Shady, Eminem, current day. We keep going. And what was interesting is now the current day Eminem is dressed as Robin, or with Dr. Dre, and he has to go hunt for the 2002 Slim Shady that's causing chaos in 2024, right? So abracadabra is the chorus of the song. The song goes abracadabra. Well, are you familiar with the cult of Abraxas?
No.
So the cult of Abraxas was a satanic cult during the 70s. And they would use the chant. Hold on, let me look it up real quick. Abraxas, here we go. It's a Gnostic pagan god. Okay.
Hold on, I found the full lyric of the baby part. So verse 1, it says, well, look what the stork brung, a little baby devil with the forked tongue, and it's sticking out, oh yeah, like a sore thumb, bled with a forehead that grew its horns from. Still a white jerk pulling up in a Chrysler to the cipher with the Vicks perks and a Red Bull shirt.
So Abraxas comes from the Greek word, let me see here, Abraxas, Romanized to Abranax, and is a word of mystic meaning in the system of Gnostic basalities. And there are 7 letters spelling the name that represent each of the 7 classic planets, and the word is related to abracadabra. So it has to go. It goes back to magic.
What are the 7 classic planets? Go back, because if it's describing the 7 classic planets, let's find out what are the 7 classic planets.
So at the 7 classic planets, let's see here. I don't know where I would find that.
7 classic planets. They have to be named. Okay, here they go. Okay, the Sun, the Moon, Venus, Jupiter, Mars, Mercury, and Saturn.
Mm-hmm. The 7 luminaries. So I don't know, man. I don't know, but continuing here. So he uses abracadabra, definitely using some type of some word magic. Something's going on there with that. Then we fast forward a little bit. He's in the car with Dre on his way to go battle with Shady.
I will say it's creepy, but it's also funny.
It's very well done. Now this scene,
right here.
This scene right here is probably one of the best scenes of the video, because he's criticizing like everybody getting participation trophies and the whole trans agenda, with girls turning into boys. So he's definitely calling that all out in this video. Oh, that's the censorship bureau's out. So he is also calling out cancel culture in this video, which was pretty interesting, especially during this part right over here. He starts talking about cross-dressing. Was it over here? I forget what it was.
Oh yeah, where he makes fun of himself as a cross-dresser.
Yeah. So we were talking about it. Yeah, I don't know. So anyways, we fast forward to this scene right over here. He's at the rooftop, and now he's facing Slim Shady, and it's a little battle going on, right? So he's battling Slim Shady and Eminem, and then they punch each other as they're, going at each other.
Yeah.
And you see there's a huge ass explosion there at the top of the building, kind of like Die Hard. It's funny. It kind of looks like Nakatomi Plaza a little bit.
That's your favorite plaza.
Yeah. And then after they explode, that comes out.
Oh.
It's the merged version. It's almost kind of like they did Fusion, right? But what's interesting here, check this out. So look what it says there. Is this some kind of unholy hybrid? So we have the 2002 Slim Shady, right? We got the current day Eminem. So what if 2002 Slim Shady is the Antichrist walking through a portal, right? And he possesses current day Eminem, and this is what we get. I might be stretching, right? But check this out. Look at this electricity symbolism here, bro. That's like some Zeus mythological shit right there.
I don't know, man. I'll tell you this. I don't know if he is. How did we put it in the members only? Did he renew his Illuminati card? I don't know.
Yeah, because estaba pagado ahí for a while, right? And he was super hot, but did he renew his Illuminati card? I mean,
It's like, have you seen
did he pay his membership? Can you sell your soul more than once?
Did you see the movie Day Shift with Jamie Foxx?
Yeah.
Yeah. Did he renew his his vampire fighting card or something? I don't know. It's interesting at the very least. I think it's just, here's the thing, man. I'm not saying there isn't some fucked up symbolism in there, because there is. And I'm gonna use that F word big time, because it's effed up. But I will also say it's also like it's art. And he's not only calling out, he's calling out a lot of pop culture right now. So I felt like everybody got it in the video a little bit.
I mean, that's what Shady does, though. I mean, he does that with his videos. Like, we've seen it with "Hi, my name is," and we've seen it with all the other stuff that he's dropped. So he's known for that. But he's also very well known in his lyrics of pretty much letting us know what he's been doing. Like, there's I forget what it was called. I think it was like My Core. I forget what it was called. But I was watching a video and the guy was doing a breakdown on the lyrics. And the guy admits that he has signed his soul to the devil, bro. Like, he's done it. And he talks about how much he struggles with it. And yeah, man. So I don't know, man. Is he a Satanist? Did he sell his soul to the devil? I don't know, bro.
Again, what is selling your soul?
That's
the question.
There is a connection with this guy that was, I think, connected to Jack Parsons and Aleister Crowley. His name was Mathers. There's like Marshall Matthew Mathers the third or something like that. So I don't know if there's like a connection with him, because his name is Mathers. So who knows, bro? Who knows?
Anyway.
So yeah.
I don't have anything else. I really don't. My brain is fried. My
brain is fried. The socials, por favor, síganos en YouTube and on Rumble at Cultura Truth Project.
I think we lost you, Jose.
No, I'm here.
You're here. Okay.
Yeah, I'm here. Make sure you follow us on Gonzalez Media TV, Facebook, and on Instagram. Subscribe to the podcast on all major platforms and leave us a 5-star review. Support the show by joining us on the Supporters Club, $3 a month. Link in the description. Audio only. You can't get anywhere but there on the Spreaker, on Supporters only.
There's a lot happening right now, guys. If you guys want to get in some of the coolest stuff that we talk about that we can't talk about anywhere else, join the Supporters Club. There's some fire stuff. I think it's the best content we have. But because it is the best, we're asking you guys to support it. So
we're also biased. So go show the support. We love you guys. Thank you so much. We'll check you guys out next episode.
Love you guys.